Mesdames et messieurs, bonsoir ou bien bonjour, ça dépend qui côté ou va porter attention avec vidéo ça qui va arriver sous channel ou bien sous TikTok ou bien sous Instagram, whatever you gonna watch it. Today, guy, and what I look at in reality, and it's something to me, nobody does know what's going on in the world, who to trust, who not to trust. You're going to listen to what happened between the president, Donald Trump, and the vice president, guy. It is terrible. We don't know what's going on today. It's something to me when we think we know, it's like we don't know anything. Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour ou bien bonsoir, ça dépend du côté. On va prendre les soins pour regarder ou bien pour tendre des vidéos. Et comme nous toujours dit, pas oublier l'homme sur ce channel là, toujours bon nous petit thumbs up, thumbs up et qui ton petit commentaire. Et puis si pourquoi abonner avec channel là, abonner avec channel là, nous descend en pile et essentiellement il y a des gens qui choose peut-être regarder des vidéos qui pas choose puis abonner avec channel là, il pas un problème. Et nous pas forcés pour abonner avec channel là, mais sous fait par courtoisie, nous même tout nous avons courtoisie pour nous retourner pour nous abonner avec channel pour là. Et nous aussi nous avons ça les membership dans channel nous sous tu supporter ou capable supporter nous avec un membership ou capable pour membership ou capable nos donations, rapport donation nous aider l'autre monde tout, nous pas simplement nous dit nous prendre, nous pas aider l'autre monde. Oui, nous aider l'autre monde tout sous nos donations, n'a recevoir mais pas oublier dépousser pour la première fois ou monter sur channel là toujours abonné avec channel là ban un petit thumbs up que tu commentaires pour nous dis-nous qui sont pensés essentiellement et nous voulons parler quand pile problème qui a dominé monde là avec administration monsieur Donald Trump du Vance nous connaît administration ça et il fait le monde anti souké tout le monde souké tout le monde nous pas tout le monde presque dans courir nous pas veut dire nous pas tant presque même avec Haïti ben nous on niveau là et presque même bagaille là même genre mafia Haïti gang yo il a fait mon lever courir nous c'est dans même problème nan nous y côté nous passer c'est problème sur problème on va le faut attendre qui sa président américain dit brothers and sisters. Is that the first time you enter to my channel? Don't forget to connect, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to it, leave me a comment, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And also, guys, if you want to support me, I would say thank you for you to support me. If you want to support me, I got membership, I got super chat, I got all this thing, guys. Also, you can join my membership, guy, to my channel, guys. Thank you so much, guys. Guys, it's something to me. It's a lot of confusion going on this day in the world. We don't know what. Let's say that we don't know what. So it's a lot of issue. Immigration, tariff, a lot of things, guys, going on, guys. But most of the people, all they worry about how we gonna pay our bill for next month. How we gonna pay like insurance car, light bill, cell phone. That's all we worry about. We don't care about anything else. We just wanna make sure the country have a better job, better future for everybody, so we can survive to our family, guy. One second, guy, before we let you listen to what's going on, don't forget, if that's the first time you enter to my channel, please subscribe to it, give me the thumbs up, or either like. If you don't want to give me the thumbs up, give me the like, right? Don't want to give me the thumbs up, give me the like. If you don't want to subscribe to my channel, connect to my channel, guy. Guys, do one of them, guys. Leave me a comment, guys. I mean, I think the best way you support me, I will support you back also, guys. It's not wrong with that. If you smash the like button, smash the what you got the red subscriber button. Also, you subscribe to me, I will subscribe back to you, guys. I'm gonna let you listen what's going on, guys. It's a lot of confusion, a lot of problem, guys. But only thing I know, God is good, God is in control. Let's listen to what's going on, guys. Listen to it, guys.
Most loyal sidekick, J.D. Vance, under the bus. Yes, you heard that right. In a shocking twist that will have you questioning everything you thought you knew about loyalty, the Donald has officially left Vance to fend for himself. Is this the beginning of the end for Vance's political career? Or just another hilarious chapter in Trump's never-ending reality show? Either way, get ready, because things are about to get wild.
According to new reports, the Trump administration is considering forming a task force to look into the potential impact of the tariffs that they have put on China and, of course, the tariffs that China has put on us. In other words, Donald Trump wants to make sure that any of the ramifications of his trade war fall on somebody else. And that somebody else, according to these reports, is going to be J.D. Vance.
Before we move on, smash that like button and subscribe because you know you don't want to miss out on this one. Donald Trump, unapologetic savage, is like trying to rewrite the book on political backstabbing. And guess who's standing there, helplessly waving their arms like a stunned extra in a Tarantino film? You guessed it, J.D. Vance. Yes, the same J.D. Vance who managed to go from hating Trump with the fire of 1,000 suns to somehow ending up as his vice president. Because if there's one thing Trump knows how to do, it's turning his enemies into loyal foot soldiers. Until it's time to throw them under the bus, of course.
We need a little bit of tariff context from two ridiculous things Donald Trump said today.
Mexico, Canada, they live off of those two. Without us, they wouldn't have a country. And everybody wants a piece. And at a certain point, if we don't make a deal, we'll just set a limit. We'll set a tariff. We'll set some parameters. And we'll say, come in and shop. They may not like that, and they may find it, or the market may find it too high,
And right on cue, here comes Trump, tossing J.D. Vance into the political meat grinder with the kind of gusto usually reserved for bad reality TV show eliminations. How? By imposing tariffs. And not just any tariffs. No, these are the kind of tariffs that could make a grown man cry, break businesses, and leave the average American clutching their wallets in terror. And who, pray tell, will be taking the heat for these disastrous trade policies? You got it, folks. J.D. Vance.
A single shipyard in China now produces more ships every year than all of the American shipyards combined. Think of that. And it was a business that we used to dominate. We used to dominate it totally. In short, chronic trade deficits are no longer merely an economic problem. They're a national emergency that threatens our security and our very way of life. It's a very great threat to our country. And for these reasons, starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations.
The Trump administration not only is considering forming this task force, but they are going to, if it comes to fruition, put Vice President J.D. Vance in charge of it and effectively make him what they're calling.
Do you have a car and do you have a clean driving?
Reciprocal, I could have done that.
But here's the kicker. J.D. Vance has now been handed the job of defending these tariffs, as if he's some sort of economic messiah. It's like being asked to clean up a disaster you didn't even create, and then having to pretend you're somehow proud of it. Tariffs that are bound to wreck the economy? Yeah, J.D., you're now the face of that disaster. Have fun explaining that to the voters.
Well, if you go back a little bit, Lawrence, remember during the first Trump administration, everybody said that Trump's tariffs were going to be inflationary back then. What actually happened? We had 1.5% inflation. We had the fastest growing economy in a generation, and we had the beginning of a manufacturing renaissance in the United States of America. Then, of course, we had 4 terrible years of the Biden administration. But I think it's useful for all of us to step back and ask ourselves, what has the globalist economy gotten the United States of America? And the answer is fundamentally it's based on 2 principles: incurring a huge amount of debt to buy things that other countries make for us. And to make it a little bit more crystal clear, we borrow money from Chinese peasants to buy the things those Chinese peasants manufacture. That is.
You've got to give Trump credit, though. He knows how to turn a bad situation into a circus. And in this case, the circus has one main act. J.D. Vance, standing on stage, desperately trying to sell a policy that's destined to implode. The guy's going to be the laughingstock of both the left and right. Because if there's one thing Trump excels at, it's forcing his loyalists to become the fall guys when the whole thing inevitably goes south. Let's talk about this tariff debacle for a minute. The logic behind tariffs has always been shaky at best. You impose a tax on foreign goods to make them more expensive, so people buy American products instead. But here's the twist. American manufacturers don't have enough capacity to take on all the demand. And guess who gets the pleasure of watching the economy buckle under the weight of that reality? J.D. Vance.
So it's 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset? They will be, because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge. European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You know, you think of European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%, we're going to charge them 20%, so we're charging them essentially half. Vietnam, great negotiators, great people. They like me, I like them. The problem is they charge us 90%. We're going to charge them 46% tariff.
And you know what's truly hilarious? Trump probably didn't even think about the fallout. He's sitting in his golden tower, issuing commands like some 19th century monarch without a care in the world about the actual consequences. Meanwhile, J.D. Vance is sweating bullets, trying to defend Trump's catastrophic decision while simultaneously hoping it doesn't ruin his political future.
When Powell warned that Trump's tariffs could bring inflation down and could bring greater inflation and slow economic growth, he didn't use the exact word. But what he was describing is stagflation. Investopedia defines stagflation as an economic condition characterized by slowing economic growth, high unemployment, and rising prices or inflation simultaneously. It's a 1, 2, 3 punch. Although at least for now, we continue to have low unemployment. But inflation
Knew how Trump was nothing more than a self-serving, egomaniacal failure who couldn't get anything right. He made a name for himself by throwing shade so hard it could have made a solar eclipse look like a candle in the wind. But here's the twist you didn't see coming. Instead of sticking to his guns, JD somehow decided that the best course of action was to hop on the Trump train and ride it all the way to the vice presidency. Guess what, JD? Looks like you're about to find out the hard way what happens when you try to pull off a 180. So dramatic, even Hollywood would call it unrealistic. Good luck, buddy. You're about to learn that hopping on a sinking ship doesn't make you a captain. It makes you a first-class passenger.
And my biggest problem with Trump, and there are many, many things to pick out, but my biggest problem with Trump is that his message to the right, especially the white working class of which I came from, is anti-conservative and in some ways anti-American. It's fundamentally that the deck is so stacked against you that unless I'm the president, nothing that you do will change your life's outcomes. I think it's wrong, and I think it's very self-destructive.
It's almost poetic when you think about it. J.D. Vance, the guy who built his entire career by taking shots at Trump, spent years tearing the former president apart in public, making a name for himself as the anti-Trump voice of the Republican Party. Vance wasn't just another politician. He was the guy who threw shade at Trump's entire existence, mocking him as the embodiment of everything wrong with the Republican establishment. But, surprise, surprise, when the Trump machine came calling, Vance didn't just roll over. No, he leapt at the opportunity to become Trump's political puppet, eagerly joining the fold. It's like he saw the golden ticket to power and thought, hey, why stick to my principles when I can jump on the gravy train? And now, as Vance sits back and watches the disaster Trump has created with these ridiculous...
With Lucid.
In political history, it's that Trump is a really bad candidate, and frankly, I think a really bad person.
Trump, because I think that he's projecting very complex problems onto simple villains.
Fast forward to 2024.
I don't hide from that. I was certainly skeptical of Donald Trump in 2016, but President Trump was a great president, and he changed my mind. I think he changed the minds of a lot of...
Trump, of course, isn't exactly going to let Vance off the hook. He's not the type to take responsibility for anything, especially when it comes to policies that backfire in the most spectacular way possible. No, Trump is going to sit back, watch the chaos unfold, and let J.D. Vance carry the weight of these tariffs on his shoulders, like some poor sap who got stuck cleaning up after a party they weren't even invited to. And that's the thing about Trump, isn't it? He's got this uncanny ability to create total mayhem and then sit back with a smile, watching someone else scramble to pick up the pieces. His tariffs are tanking the economy, but it's J.D. Vance who'll be left explaining
Of America. President Trump is taking this economy in a different direction. He ran on that, he promised it, and now he's delivering. And yes, this is a big change. I'm not going to shy away from it, but we needed a big change, Lawrence. We cannot keep going down the Joe Biden globalist pathway where we have $2 trillion of peacetime debt and deficits. We have manufacturing disappearing. That is not working for Americans. We've got to take this country in a different direction.
But it's not just the tariffs. Oh no, this is part of a much bigger, much funnier picture. J.D. Vance, once hailed as the proud, independent voice of the GOP, is now reduced to being Trump's personal punching bag. This is the same J.D. Vance who wrote a book about escaping the shackles of his small-town Ohio roots and finding a higher purpose, only to end up groveling for political scraps under the golden thumb of Trump. Now, he's out there desperately trying to make sense of a policy.
Beautiful day,
Lord has made. Holy Father, on behalf of Michelle and myself, welcome to the White House. I should explain that our backyard is not typically this crowded, but the size and the spirit of today's gathering is just a small reflection of the deep devotion of some 70 million American Catholics. It reflects as well the way that your message of love and hope has inspired so many people across our nation and around the world. So on behalf of the American people, it is my great honor and privilege to welcome you to the United States of America. Today we mark many firsts. Your Holiness, you've been celebrated as the first Pope from the Americas. This is your first visit to the United States. And you are also the first pontiff to share an encyclical through a Twitter account. Holy Father, your visit not only allows us, in some small way, to reciprocate the extraordinary hospitality that you extended to me at the Vatican last year, it also reveals how much all Americans, from every background, and what is true in America is true around the world. In the busy streets of Buenos Aires.
Madame et messieurs, this is Président Obama, le président, c'était Pape Francis, et qui était venu rencontrer, qui était venu dans la Maison Blanche là, côté la petite, c'est la première fois, Américains qui ont pape qui sont américains, mais c'est la première fois qu'ils viennent dans l'Amérique. Alors, je ne sais pas, ça veut dire là, pape là, quel est américain lié, je ne sais pas, ou bien latino-américain, je ne sais pas, ça veut dire là. C'est Pape Francis, nous connaissons, qui mourit à l'âge de 88 ans. Et nous avons cherché vous nous joindre côté président, côté les aller, nous finira le pape là, côté un cardinal qui m'a deux présidents pour prendre conscience des gens et a déporté le monde pour j'avais on a la caillou, il m'a dit anti-conscience pour moun yo, gens yo la déporté dans pays parce que pays a besoin moun ça yo pour travailler pour pas que bagaille dans pays. Nous pas le goûter.
In your humility, your embrace of simplicity, in the gentleness of your words, in the generosity of your spirit, we see a living example of Jesus' teachings. A lead is mercy. And that means welcoming the conflicts that ravage the lives of so many men, women. So we stand with you in defense. Us may at times experience discomfort, how we lead our daily lives and what we know to be true, what we know to be right. But I believe such discomfort is a blessing, for it points to something better. You shake our conscience from slumber. You call on us to rejoice in good news and give us confidence that we can come together in humility and service and pursue a world that is more loving, more just, and more free. Here at home and around the world, may our generation heed your
immigrant family. I'm happy to be a guest in this country, which was largely built by such families. I look forward to these days of encounter and dialogue, in which I hope to listen to and share many of the hopes and dreams of the American people. During my visit, I will have the honor of addressing Congress, where I hope, as a brother of this country, to offer words of encouragement to those called to guide the nation's political future in fidelity to its founding principles. I will also travel to Philadelphia for the 8th World Meeting of Families to celebrate and support the institutions of marriage and the family at this critical moment in the history of our civilization.
Pape la dit un bagay qui vraiment extraordinaire. Côté pape la dit que
Any favorites at the American Pope?
And look, these are great gentlemen. They're great. If they weren't, they wouldn't be Pope.
120 cardinals will choose his successor. And just like in the hit movie Conclave, they will be locked inside the Sistine Chapel voting 4 times a day until a new Holy Father is chosen with a 2/3 majority.
Every cardinal deep down has already chosen the name by which he would like his papacy to be known.
Well, I haven't.
Ballots are burned and white smoke rising from this
You could have made a deal.
Yeah, I mean, the man literally blamed who paid for would be compensated, but not by Ukraine, by Russia, because they were the one to aggress.
Again, just so you understand, Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total efforts, and it was through, like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money, to be clear. We have 230 billion frozen assets in Europe, Russian assets, but this is not as a collateral of a loan, because this is not our belonging. So they are frozen. If at the end of the day in the negotiation we will have with Russia, they're ready to give it to us, super. It will be loan at the end of the day, and Russia will have paid for that.
If you
This is my
believe
wish.
that, it's okay with me.
Mr. President,
They get their money back, we don't, and now we do. But, that's only fair.
And that set up do this time to get the nation's highest court to say, dude, seriously, stick around, because this economic meltdown is peak comedy.
But in this past weekend's action, the Supreme Court used its power to stop the Trump administration from any such new deportations under the same war claims I just mentioned. The court stepped in at the 11th hour, and as I mentioned, if you follow all your alerts over the weekend, you might have heard this, but I want to put it in the full context for you right now. The High Court blocking any more Trump deportations under that power and telling federal officials not to remove any detainees.
Well, if it isn't the comeback tour of the Senate, your whiteboard favorite role, the confused defendant who can't believe actions have consequences. The Supreme Court just handed him a reality check so hard it echoed across all 5 of his remaining brain cells. You know, the same Supreme Court he thought he bought wholesale with some Federalist fan fiction and a discount coupon for moral bankrupts. Turns out, the Constitution isn't just a bedtime story you get to rewrite with a Sharpie after eating too many cheeseburgers and conspiracy theories.
The Supreme Court issued a rare weekend ruling Saturday, temporarily blocking the Trump administration from deporting a group of Venezuelans held at a Texas detention facility using a centuries-old wartime law. This comes after an emergency appeal was filed last Friday by the American Civil Liberties Union, challenging the administration's use of the 18th century Alien Enemies Act. Last month, the Trump administration deported more than 100 Venezuelans alleged to have ties to the notorious Tren de Aragua gang to El Salvador using this law.
So, what happened? Trump waddled into yet another legal mess, thinking he could charm, bluff, or tantrum his way through it like he always does. Spoiler, he couldn't. This time, the Supreme Court cracked its knuckles, stared directly into the void that is his legal defense, and basically said, yeah, no. You know it's bad when even the hand-picked judges start glancing at you like you just farted in a cathedral.
About the trade war that continues apace with the U.S. and with China here, our colleague Fox's Mike Emanuel has
Nothing to do with me. This has to do with a president in the future for 100 years from now. If you don't have immunity, you're not going to do anything. You're going to become a ceremonial president. You're just going to be doing nothing. You're not going to take any of the risks, both good and bad. I mean, you're going to make some great decisions and save the country, and you're going to make some decisions which are unfortunate, but that's the way.
Imagine thinking you own the refs and still managing to lose the game. That's Trump in a nutshell, a man who cheats at Monopoly and still gets bankrupt. But here's the kicker. This wasn't just about Trump. This was about the presidency itself. Because if this toddler-in-chief got his way, it would have set the precedent that any future president could declare martial law because someone made fun of their tie. Imagine President Kanye West with that kind of power. Suddenly, fashion critics would be in Guantanamo. The ruling didn't just slap Trump back into reality. It reinforced that the office of the president is not a personal fiefdom. It's not a throne, it's not a reality TV prize. It's a position with limits, checks, and expectations. 3 things Trump has avoided his entire life, like salad. Meanwhile, Trump world is imploding faster than a crypto scam during tax season. JD Vance is out here trying to spin the ruling like it was actually a secret win. It proves he was so powerful the court had to get involved. Sure, JD.
Once again, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for you going to taking time to watch my video. And guys, don't forget, when you enter the video, it's not the first time, don't forget to like and share and subscribe to my channel. It's not the first time you enter, guys. If you want to join my membership, it's okay, you can do that also. If you want to give me a donation, of course you can do that also. It's not a problem. Whatever you do, you would get it back. I would do the same thing for you in return. Thank you so much, guys, and I see you in my next video. Mesdames et messieurs, merci beaucoup du fait que vous allez prendre patience, vous allez prendre le temps pour tendre vidéo ça et nous pour le mettre. D'ailleurs, nous connaissons plus le bagage bouleverser monde là, mais nous pas prendre toute baganette pour nous mettre dans vidéo, mais nous prend un peu nous mettre nous porter ba ou pas oublier abonner avec channel là, ban nous un petit thumbs up, qui un petit commentaire pour nous et nous même n'a fait même bagarre là n'a retourner même bagarre là pour tout. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. Ciao ciao. The video is 27 minutes. We don't want to put no more in it. Thank you, guys. May God bless you all. May God bless the world. Thank you, guys. See you in my next video. Thank you so much.
Shockingly, nobody's ever had this before. No other president. We're having a very hard time with judges because they don't want people to be moved out of the country. Shockingly, nobody's ever had this before. No other president.
Two conservative justices dissented with the court's pause, calling it unprecedented and legally questionable. President Trump again slamming the federal courts for derailing his immigration policy, again colliding with the courts after the Supreme Court paused the deportations of another group of Venezuelan migrants and alleged gang members. Lawyers representing the men say they're being denied hearings to argue their case, something the High Court previously ruled was required to deport under the Wartime Alien Enemies Act, which the administration, President Trump again slamming the federal courts for derailing his immigration actions to stop what he called a sinister attack on our nation. Critics like Senator Chris Van Hollen, who visited, mistakenly deported Kilmar Abrego Garcia in El Salvador, whose release the Supreme Court ordered the Trump administration to facilitate, accusing the president of focusing on gang allegations over due process.
If you deny the constitutional rights of one man, you threaten the Constitution.
Women, a journey that started soon after we arrived in Washington, when they set off for their first day at their new school. I will never forget that winter morning as I watched our girls, just 7 and 10 years old, pile into those black SUVs with all those big men with guns. And I saw their little faces pressed up against the window, and the only thing I could think was, what have we done? See, because at that moment, I realized that our time in the White House would form the foundation for who they would become. And how well we managed this experience could truly make or break them. That is what Barack and I think about every day as we try to guide and protect our girls through the challenges of this unusual life in the spotlight. How we urge them to ignore those who question their father's citizenship or faith. How we insist that the hateful language they hear from public figures on TV does not represent